At the time, Buster and Fang were two of the biggest action stars in Brawlywood. They worked together on many blockbusters, but above all they were known for their recklessness and were constantly getting into trouble on the set. So the studio hired Masie, a stern and impassioned safety assistant, to keep them in line. Masie was used to dealing with difficult actors, but Buster and Fang were of a different level. They constantly ignored her safety instructions and performed stunts as they pleased, often resulting in injuries and costly delays during filming. Despite their constant disregard for her authority, Masie had a soft spot for these two actors. She saw them as a couple of big kids who needed a stern hand to keep them in line. She even thought about how great it would be to have two brothers like that, and whenever they got into trouble, she would always be there to bail them out. One day, Buster and Fang were starring in a high-speed chase scene. They were both known for their incredible skills in Brawl Stars arena fights, which could not be said for their high-speed sports car driving skills, which played a big part in what happened next in the story. So, as they revved up their engines and raced down the narrow alleyway of the city set built for the movie set, they forgot everything Masie had told them about safety rules. As they picked up tremendous speed, they felt the rush of adrenaline that only comes with performing such dangerous stunts as this one. Masie watched the footage of the chase from a safe distance, ready to intervene if something went wrong. But from the way Buster and Fang were actively picking up speed as they drove their sports cars, she knew disaster was imminent. She realized that these two had decided to make a sharp turn at space speed, which is absolutely impossible to do without special training. Masie knew she had to act quickly. She raised her mechanical cannon arm and pointed it at the ground. A powerful stream of energy erupted from the cannon, crashing into the ground and propelling Masie into the air. Masie flew at breakneck speed toward Fang and Buster's cars. As she flew closer, she realized that Buster and Fang were about to reach the corner that would probably be fatal for them. It was too much speed to be able to turn without hitting the wall. She realized that she had to act fast. She fired another volley from her cannon, which now served as her turbo boost. Fang and Buster, firing at each other with the fake guns they had been given specifically for the shooting, were almost to the corner. Buster's car went first. Fang, walking behind him, pursued him. Buster saw the turn, and joyfully and unintelligibly shouted something, pressed the gas pedal. A collision was inevitable. But at that moment, Masie landed on the hood of Buster's car like a comic book superhero. Behind her was already visible the approaching wall. Masie yelled to Buster to slow down, but Buster only yelled back that Masie shouldn't block his view as he was about to do the world's most dangerous stunt. Buster then pressed the gas pedal even harder. Masie decided to act. She gripped the hood of the car tighter and shot a special shock-absorbing foam into the wall, which she usually used to create soft, springy trampolines in places where actors fall during filming. The wall in front of them became covered with huge balls of foam that were supposed to soften the impact of the car. Almost immediately thereafter, Buster turned the steering wheel sharply to the side, causing the car to begin making a sharp turn. The car was tilted so badly that its two left wheels were in the air and its two right wheels almost on the ground. The car tried to make the turn with a frantic squeal. Masie and Buster grabbed onto the car, almost falling out of it, but still holding on. Masie managed to look up to see what was happening to Fang's car, which was following behind. As it turned out, Fang lost control and crashed into a wall. which fortunately was covered with impact-absorbing foam. Buster tried as hard as he could to twist the steering wheel so that the car was back on all four wheels. And at some point, he succeeded. The car, with Masie on the hood, literally collapsed to the ground, returning to its normal position. Buster threw his hands up in the air and shouted happily that he had managed to pull off this crazy stunt. As he did so, the car's front tire came off and couldn't take the strain of the crazy spin they were going through. The car was thrown upward and Buster and Masie found themselves floating free in the air. Buster was clearly frightened from not expecting it. Masie was actively thinking about what to do, as she had to keep them both alive and well and keep them from crashing. The ground was already visible below them, with all the crew members standing there, watching with horror on their faces as to how Masie and Buster's fall would end. Masie saw an empty pool standing nearby for filming scenes in the water. She knew immediately that she had to act. She reached over and grabbed Buster's hand as he flew confusedly not far away from her. Then she let up a rope with a hook from her mechanical arm, which hooked into the ceiling of the film set, redirecting their flight path toward the empty pool. Masie and Buster flew straight into the empty pool. If they didn't fill it with anything, they'd just crash, Buster thought. And at the same moment he saw Masie release a huge stream of soapy water from her cannon arm right into the pool, gradually filling it. Just a few moments later, Masie and Buster plunged into the pool. The whole crew threw up their arms and hugged each other with joy. Everyone was glad they had such a great safety assistant as Masie. She had saved the naughty actor's life again. Masie was exhausted and angry at Buster and Fang for putting themselves in danger. She shook her head tiredly and disappointedly and looked at them with a reproachful look. Buster and Fang, ashamed, lowered their gazes to the floor, trying not to move and looking as remorseful as possible. Though while Masie was telling them off, Buster, with conventional signs, quietly showed Fang that the stunt was absolutely amazing. They smiled imperceptibly at each other. Seeing this, Masie erupted even more in indignation, causing the boys to freeze even more in place and feel all her anger. Eventually, Buster and Fang apologized for wrecking the cars and nearly hurting themselves and her health. While the boys awkwardly tried to apologize, Masie looked at them like an older sister who understood that they were just mischievous boys who couldn't be changed and just needed to be watched. Masie smiled softly and said she had forgiven them a long time ago. It was just that she sometimes enjoyed listening and watching them sweetly apologize for 2 hours or sometimes half a day. All three of them laughed. They always know they have each other's backs no matter what.